Welcome to my world. I'm currently playing the Enigmatica 2 Expert mod pack for Minecraft 1.12, and I guess this will be like my third kind of world tour, but I'm going to try to condense it down into one video, one subject matter, and today it's going to be Botania. This setup here is basic. I'll kind of cover it at the end because it's not as interesting in terms of automation, but this is the stuff in here I've been working on the last couple days and I'm quite proud of. Well, this is actually quite old. I'll talk about that after, but this is what I'm quite proud of. I was trying to automate the Runic Altar, and I've actually made a video, YouTube video, on how to make this. And I thought it's a pretty sleek design, but I'll kind of go over it again real quickly. We got the mechanical user with some redstone circuitry down here. That once this craft is ready to go, it's got the ingredients and it's got the mana. It will detect a 2 redstone. Pick up that block and it will go up the torch tower and activate this mechanical user that's waiting for a redstone signal. And then the recipe's made. But also it's sleek. There's not a lot of wires and cables around it. But also we have error checking. Oh yeah, I forgot I'm not in creative. Gotta actually do a double jump. So we've got error checking that it will not send the next item until the previous item comes back. And I'll demo it here right away. But we also have mana pool detection, where if the pool down there gets too low, it actually disables this crate. And this design here is a little more compact than my tutorial video that I released either yesterday or the day before. And these are the best block ever that I just learned about. And then of course I basically took the same design, put it over here for the Petal Apothecary. And it does a similar thing. It has error checking that it doesn't send too many items till the previous one comes back. Yada yada yada. If I take out the Gluttony runes and the Winter runes and I ask for something like the Hopper Hawk, let's ask, well, maybe not that many. Let's ask, whoops, we're going higher than lower there. Let's ask for 3. So what's going to happen here is it's going to say, hey, we need to craft some air runes and we've got tokens for flow control. And also I see that it's completely fine. Oh, that's a bad example. I thought this one required a Gluttony rune. It might be the dysfunctional flower here. Let's ask for this guy. Here we go. So we're gonna craft 2 runes of earth, plus craft 3 runes of winter, and 3 runes of gluttony. And unfortunately, I am missing mushrooms, which is kind of embarrassing when I say that this thing is set and forget. It's clearly I don't have this on Autocraft, which I'll have to stick here to remind myself to fix that. Because I have the mystical agriculture essence set up. So let's try this again. Recipe's good to go. So the recipe's dropping onto the altar, and then it's done, and it gets picked up. And once it gets picked up, it drops the next set. You'll see this will flash. Okay, that flash right there. Basically what's happening is when a recipe gets sent, a token goes with it, and it stays in this chest. And then once the recipe gets picked up by the Hopper Hawk, it deposits it into this crate. And then this comparator can actually see the contents. And as soon as it increases to at least 1 item in this crate, it sends a pulse. And then both of these import buses are set to activate per pulse with the redstone card. And this one's important to have an acceleration card because you want to pull out a bunch of items, potentially 2 to 3 runes at a time. But also, oh, I guess that's going to happen, and then it's going to make another one. I keep missing it. Okay, let's just stand here and watch this. But anyways, you can ask for some pretty advanced stuff, and it shouldn't ever fail unless you walk by with a magnet. Then of course it'll fail. Again, I like it how sleek it is. I'm quite proud of this design, and it basically is just, you don't have to use an ender chest, but I just happen to use one, so my ingredients are actually getting pushed in from the basement. But yeah, so once the items get picked up, they're detected by this thing. A pulse gets sent out, so both of these give it a pulse to extract it. So then the token gets pulled out, and then the recipes get pulled out, and then the next recipe gets pushed in because of the blocking mode that you commonly set up with Applied Energistics. But if any of that doesn't make sense, I made a pretty decent video the other day. And this is pool checking. If the pool gets too low, we will take a subtraction. I think this furnace has, I don't know what the number is, but basically it makes sure that pool's like a half to a third full. Maybe it's a quarter. Doesn't really matter. And then as long as it's full, it allows the items to get pulled out of here, the input recipe items, and dropped into the crate. And if it's not full, then it'll wait till the system recharges enough. So it's kind of nice that way. And also, if you give a redstone signal to an open crate, I just found this out, it actually increases the time before a hopper hawk will pick up the items. So it just seems to be a happy coincidence that this hopper hawk will not pick up the items that I drop for an extra like 10 seconds just because I'm giving this a redstone signal. And of course, if you put the living rock in, you have it configured, that flower, to not pick up items in crates. So we'll not pick up that living rock that's just sitting on the altar while it's getting crafted. So that's cool. And this is the same setup. We have a bucket of water there. So same thing, crate pushes items in. I just happen to give this a redstone signal instead of having any kind of level checking because mana pools aren't required. So this thing's set to not pick up the water or the empty bucket. And as soon as the items come in from the hopper hawk, once it picks them up, it detects them, and then it gives a pulse, which tells these import buses with the exact same configuration as that to release them, and then the next recipe comes in. So it's all very very stable, as I call flow control. Then down below is nothing except for a what do you call it, an item collector. One of these guys from Random Things, and it's cool because I use that thing to pick up the empty bucket, but I'm not picking up with this thing because it was causing issues. So it can pick up stuff through floors is why I use that, and then the bucket gets returned. Now for this system, if we get rid of this mana, or I guess get rid of the redstone signal, what's going to happen is the cart's going to get released. And I don't want to get too much into detail with how this contraption works. Let's just wait for it to go by here again. But basically, stakes got sent, 4 of them, for the 4 flowers. And if you're not familiar with these flowers, they require... So now there's 4 muttons. So that's what the system is doing. It's dropping either steak or cooked mutton, and you get, I think, 4,000, 5,000 units of mana per transaction. It just makes sure that you don't send the same food twice in a row. And this was just a fun design that I had. I was streaming, but it's very complicated. But after a lot of tweaking, I actually got it stable because for a long time it would not work, or it wasn't stable. But now I think it is extremely stable. Obviously, vanilla mechanics. Cactus breaks the minecart. Vacuum chest picks up these 2. They go into the analog crafter, and they get put into here. And if our mana is really... Oh, all that redstone broke, I guess, when I clicked on that. But as long as those pools are happy, like right now they're actually full, so they're happy, it would turn off this auto placer. So then the minecart stays in here until it actually needs mana again, and then it releases it. But I've obviously simulated it down there. And getting into integrated dynamics is really getting into the weeds. I've made a few videos on it, but not specifically on this contraption. I might do it later. But I have made a video on the delayer, and the delayer here is being used to make a rising edge pulse. So when your redstone goes from false to true is a rising edge, and then when it goes from true to false is a falling edge. And for this contraption to work, I was having an issue where I would get a pulse from going false to true, and then I was getting a pulse from going true to false. And that was 2 pulses, and it was sending 2 units much like you see there. That's kind of embarrassing. I guess that's just stuck there for eternity. Doesn't matter. I don't know how that got there. But can't step on the mine track. But yeah, so I only want the impulse hoppers to pull out 4 units of steak based on this tunnel. So this tunnel will import 4. I have a choice operator in here. It's hard to see if you don't know integrated dynamics, but basically, based on a Boolean signal of this delayer being true or false, my rising edge detection, it will either send 4 or it will send 0 based on if it's true or false. And same for this chunk of meat. It's the opposite, basically. If this is true, it will send 4 or 0. And then that's how they kind of toggle back and forth. Then, of course, I have my E02 system delivering food to the impulse hopper, which is a really cool block somebody told me about, being able to exactly specify exact stack sizes of things to transfer. And the variable store is empty, so that's concerning. Oh, here's the new one. And I'm not going to go through all this stuff, but all these cards are used to make this thing work. Basically, you've got an inventory reader where I'm checking what's in here. What else do I have? I got an entity reader where I'm pulling out the NBT data of the cart just to make sure it's only got 4 pieces of items. And then once it goes past this track, I'm also using another entity reader to tell a system to reload 4 pieces of meat. And like I said, this system doesn't really run anymore because I have an infinite pool of mana. So I guess this has to go back. I would love to clean this up sometime and make it look a little neater. Input to output. So as we can see, our redstone is satisfied. It's not satisfied, actually. Once this light turns on, based on this calculation, it will stop the minecart. And then last but not least, we have the 2 different types of catalysts. If I search for that, we have the alchemy, the yellow one, and the conjuration catalyst, the red one. So that's supposed to be the color yellow and the color red. And I haven't actually quite automated these yet, but it's just a matter of dropping the items into the pool. And this is just your basic mana pool crafting. And then this is your Elven portal crafting. And these are this is the last room that I actually built. They were just kind of in there before, but the hopper hawks that I added were actually interfering with the items dropping. So it had to be moved far enough away that I wasn't having that issue. So I haven't set up these yet because I haven't needed any recipes from them. But basically, if we ask for 100 of these, and let's say like 100 of these, it's just going to drop. And I think I have them sending like 4 items at a time, but there is no error checking. It's just an ender chest pushing 4 items at a time based on the ender conduit's transfer speed from ender IO. But I've got such a good supply of mana now that I don't think I need error checking because it's just refilling at such a fast rate, and there's that infinite pool down there. So this room I kind of took a break on the complex error checking. And then same with the Elven portal. I think is it Elf Glass? If I ask for 100, will it do it? It's just a vector plate. You can see it through there actually. That's just slamming items through. And then that what do you call it? That vacuum hopper down there is picking them up. Versus here I use the petite hopper hawks to dump into the crate and then back into AE2. So yeah, this is the magic area. That's a work in progress for Thaumcraft, and this is a complete blood magic design. Maybe for another time. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you thought this was kind of neat. That's overkill, but I had fun making it, and I'm quite proud of this design. So if you're curious about the details, definitely check out that video because I think it's really handy. I'm going to be using it in future playthroughs for sure.